was a movie that came out in theaters not too long ago called Unbroken, directed by Angelina Jolie. This is based on a true story, based on a true guy.
That's right, Louis Zamperini.
Louis Zamperini.
Italian name.
Totally. But he was a juvenile delinquent of sorts, and then his brother encouraged him to start running.
You keep going the way you're going, you end up on the street.
And he was actually one of the fastest guys in the world. And then guess what? World War II.
Yeah, he did go to World War II, and he started traveling the world where he continued to run, and also he continued to suffer on a totally epic scale.
Right, exactly. Because, I mean, I feel like we're telling you what happens in the story here, but this is really the main part of the story is when he ends up being on a raft in the middle of the ocean for 47 freaking days.
For about 500 hours of this damn movie.
Yeah, 47 days. So that's not even the last of it. Like, then he goes to,
They go
you know
on a
what?
raft, and they eat each other.
No, they don't eat each other. It's
They don't.
different. No,
I wish they would eat each other.
Okay, listen, the story is really interesting when you look at it from the fact that, you know what, this really happened to this guy. And I can't believe this happened. I can't believe that he survived this.
Get out, boys. Get out! Come on!
They're difficult movies to make where someone has gone through so many extraordinary things. To create a world that has a real sense of gravity and there's a real sense of credibility and things that are convincing, those things are hard to establish. And you can't help but think of infinitely better war films like Apocalypse Now, or I just watched The Deer Hunter again recently. And those are movies that really feel authentic and strange. And this is an unfortunate story, and there's a whole lot of suffering, and there's a whole lot of incredible things that happen here, but it feels a little too Disney-ish for my taste and comfort. And so it all kind of feels like it's shot in this very romantic light, all these romantic colors. Everybody just seems like they're acting. The writing's not very good. The acting is barely sufficient. And I walked away from this thing feeling kind of disappointed. I'm sorry that this guy went through all this stuff, but making his life story into a film, this is not the film that I think he deserves.
A moment of pain is worth a lifetime of glory. You remember that?
While I was watching the movie, it did get very boring. It was long. I didn't know when this man's suffering would end. It just really did seem endless.
It almost just seemed, I mean, I just had a hard time believing all of it. And again, I have no doubt that it's all true, but if you're gonna do a version of this guy's life story, I need someone to vouch for this thing and tell me that this is a real thing. There's nothing.
Louis did.
I know Louis vouched for it, you're right. But he just deserves better. His story deserves to be told with more conviction and more authenticity. And the movie had neither of those things.
I think it's really difficult taking on a challenge like this. It must be very difficult. Taking a man's story, his life story, and then condensing it into a movie at this length. So I applaud Angelina Jolie for what she's done here.
She's a terrible director. I don't like her directing. She hasn't made a good movie. Go back to acting, Angelina.
All right. Well, I didn't think it was as bad as you're saying it is.
Oh my God, Louis Zamperini deserves a much better film than this.
Sure, fine, great.
Much better.
I'm glad that I didn't go see this in theaters though, because I would have been really bored.
The Blu-ray of Unbroken, what are you gonna give it?
Gets a 6.
Gets a 4 from me.